Matt, over to you.
Yeah, let's start with what Secretary Kerry had to say upstairs a little while ago about his conversation with Foreign Minister Lavrov and the proposal that he said Foreign Minister Lavrov made about U.S. Russia military to military talks on this. The Secretary did not say that the administration had decided to go ahead and accept this offer, but he made it pretty clear that he thinks personally it's a good idea because, well, he listed numerous reasons, deconflicting things, making sure there's no misunderstandings or no miscalculations. So I'm just wondering if you can elaborate a little bit more. Has this reached the stage of more than just a kind of you know vague proposal?
Well, as Secretary said, this was something that was Russians proposed in his conversations with Foreign Minister Lavrov. I think we're still in the very preliminary stages, and as the Secretary pointed out, one of the critical elements going forward is that we have a dialogue, that we have an understanding of what Russia's intentions are in Syria. And so in order to have that, you have to have a conversation, which is how he framed it, I think, just a little while ago. But I think we're still very preliminary stage here, so I don't have much more meat to add to that bone, so to speak.
Okay, so, but you are, or his belief is that in order to fully understand what Russia wants to do and what their intentions are, that there should be that there needs to be a conversation back and forth. Is that correct?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, and as he said, not taking anything at face value, but obviously need to have a conversation and need to deconflict. Yeah.
All right. So I'm curious. General Austin was up on the Hill earlier today talking about the train and equip program, and came out with a rather astounding figure of that there were only 4 to 5 individual U.S. trained and equipped fighters currently fighting ISIL in Syria. One senator said that that's a joke, and it's hard not to disagree with her, I think. Is that one of the reasons that the Secretary is willing to have a dialogue with Russia about this? Because the Russians say that they're there because of ISIL, not because necessarily because of President Assad. If you only have less than a handful, or a handful or less, people who have benefited or fighting from the train and equip program, it would seem to me that you need all the help you can get. Are you willing to accept Russian help?
A couple of responses to that question. First of all, well aware of the comments he made on the Hill. Certainly don't challenge that assessment. But the Department of Defense has been very candid in pointing out that this train and equip program for the moderate Syrian opposition has not, frankly, lived up to what we initially thought, and is striving to do better, to train more moderate opposition, to put them into the battlefield, to reinsert them, if you will, to train and equip them. But they've fallen short, and I think they've been very, as I said, candid and upfront about that assessment. That said, that's only one component of our strategy, and you know this, Matt. We're working with groups like the Syrian Kurds, the YPD, and others, Syrian Arabs, who are fighting against ISIL on the ground. We're supporting them with airstrikes. So, I mean, we have this train and equip program.
Sorry, let me just interrupt.
Yeah, please.
So those are the Kurds that the Turks aren't bombing, right?
Well, that's a different matter. You're talking about the PKK, which is a terrorist
Who are also
FTO,
fighting. Who are also fighting ISIL.
and also killing Turkish military and police officers. Anyway, that's another issue. But just to back to my response. So this train and equip program, while it hasn't lived up to expectations, is just a one part of what is frankly a larger effort. Let me finish. Sorry. But the Secretary was also clear that if it's true that Russia is only focused on ISIL, then there is the possibility for cooperation. That's exactly what he said. And that's why, I think that we would be willing to pursue this military-to-military cooperation, or dialogue, rather, going forward to try to get answers and to try to have a conversation about it. But ultimately, that's going to be for the Department of Defense and the Pentagon to pursue that.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
would his,
So I wouldn't necessarily draw a connection. Sorry.
his understanding, the Secretary's understanding of this is that it would be purely military to military. He wouldn't be involved at all, or it wouldn't.
Well, I think again, the military to military about anti-ISIL, if you want, kinetic actions that Russia may participate in. That has to be a mill to mill. But to a broader political settlement in Syria, we certainly, and we said that all the time, we're open to discussions with the Russians.
And my last one, and I realize
Yeah,
this is unfair because it's not a State Department program, it is a Pentagon program. But
Yep.
when you say that, that this train and equip program hasn't lived up to expectations, that's an understatement, isn't it?
I'll
I
leave
mean,
that
when
for
you
the-
first said you didn't challenge the assessment, are you talking about the assessment of Senator Ayotte, who said that that's a joke, or are you?
No,
what
the
assessment are
total
you
numbers
talking
of those trained for the program. Yeah, please.
Before these